Welcome to Downsizing Insights webinar. Today we're covering to sell first or buy first topic, and Bob Herzog will help us answer those questions. Hi, Bob. Thank
Hello,
you for being
Yana.
with us today.
You bet. My pleasure. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, my name is Bob Herzog. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm actually a third generation Phoenician, third generation real estate broker here in Phoenix, and I'm known also as your real estate dad. Gotten that nickname over the years. So, I've been in the business 27 years now, and I've realized that, over the last 5 to 10 years of my career, as I get older, my clientele over the years has gotten older as well. So, for the last 5 or 10 years, I've been doing more and more of my real estate career has kind of not shifted to seniors, but just naturally handling past clients that are now aging and or their parents that are getting to that stage where they're thinking of downsizing or moving into a assisted living, nursing home, that sort of thing. So for the past few years, I've really focused like my education and learning on how to deal with these situations. And hopefully today I can share some thoughts that answer some questions, commonly asked questions that come up on a regular basis for me. That hopefully a lot of your viewers or people that use the site are, will be able to answer some questions for them.
That's great. Thank you so much. We're very happy to have you with us today. You're in this profession because generations back, your family was in this profession. And that's incredible that you're carrying all this knowledge and care.
I've always just had a heart for seniors. I mean, even when I was a little kid, I was at a friend's house, instead of out always playing with my friends, I was the one in the kitchen talking to the parents about what they do for a living. And I mean, I've just always had an affinity for the older generation. I've got a grandfather that just turned 100 years old in March. So, yeah, I've been around the senior population for my whole life, and now I'm working with them. So
Your old soul, you like some good quality
yeah,
conversations. Yeah, I do too.
yeah,
That's amazing. Okay. So today, there are several topics that we decided to go with because in the applications that we receive, people very often don't know what to do. Do they need to sell first, and what they do with all this time in between? So that's why we decided to talk about it today. And we're going to cover the situations if you're not buying again. We'll talk definitely about managing the timing. This is one of the most important things as well, and how to get organized in general with all this transition and practical steps that you need to make before having any decisions done. But before we start, there is an important question that I wanted to ask that comes from our subscribers. We've been in this home for 30 years. How do we even start?
I think the first thing you need to do is really figure out if moving is the right decision for you. Okay, do you want to, I would say 90%, 80 to 90% of the people I talk to, whether it's the homeowner, the senior that lives in the home, or if it is the adult children or the caregiver, what have you, the main thing is just deciding that which direction you want to go. Okay, like, do you feel like you're in a position now where you need to go to an assisted living or a facility like that, or do you feel like you can age in place? The most common thing I hear is, I'm going to die in this house, I'm not moving. Okay, and then the biggest challenge becomes, for it kind of focuses on the adult children that know maybe that mom and dad need to be in a at least assisted living or independent care, somewhere where someone can kind of help them along with the daily activities. And it's just tough for them to uh, encourage their parents to make that move. You start with figuring out if this is really what you want to do. And it's not something you have to do right away, but if it's something that you really feel in your heart that you're going to be doing in the next year or two or three, then then you start working on things like uh, fixing things around the house that you haven't fixed for a while, starting to get rid of items you no longer use, decluttering, that sort of thing, in preparation for whatever it is you decide to do, whether that's move into a assisted living situation, move into a smaller home, or if you're just going to stay in the home. I mean, there's a lot of folks that age in place. Okay, if you go with the age in place decision, then you need to hire a professional to come over that specializes in remodeling or doing repairs or enhancements to the home that will make it a safer space for you.
Yeah.
Okay? So I really think that the first thing is just deciding that, hey, something needs to change here. If you get to that point in your life where the cost of maintaining the home, just the work that's required to maintain the home and that sort of thing, if that's getting to be too much, and obviously you're going to want to make a change at that point. It's just a matter of when and how soon you want to do it.
Yeah, of course. Family conversations definitely can help with that,
Right.
to get everyone aligned on the further steps and um, decisions.
Right.
So the earlier you start, the better.
That's right. You're going to hear me say that over and over again in this presentation, that you can never start early enough in this process.
Let's talk about some pros and cons of selling first or buying first. What people should be aware of, what mistakes in general people usually do when they're trying to decide.
If you're going to sell first, I would say probably about 25% of my clients uh, sell first and then buy, maybe a little more here recently. But when you sell first, the advantages of that is exactly what you're going to walk away with from the sale of your home. As you know, when you put a home on the market, an asking price or a listing price is just, it's an offer of what we'll sell our home for. That doesn't mean it's going to sell for that. So there's the certainty of closing on the home and knowing exactly what your proceeds are. That's a big thing to a lot of people. You also don't have the risk of having two mortgages if you have a mortgage currently. If you sell first and then purchase, you definitely have a stronger position when we're negotiating on the new purchase if you have cash in the bank ready to go. In today's market, it's not a market where a contingent offer carries a lot of weight. And when I say contingent offer, we could go out, purchase a home that's contingent in the contract on yours closing first. However, if it's a good home, it's in good shape and it's priced well, chances are you're going to have some competition with people that are ready to purchase it and close it in 30 days with no contingencies. So it does weaken your negotiation if you have to do the contingent side of things. The disadvantages obviously are, the pressure, like you close on a home on June 1st and here we are, May 15th or whatever, and you've got your home under contract. It's going to close on June 1st. That's a lot of pressure to go out and find the next home without a lot of time to work with. There are ways to work around this. And the key here is you've got to find an agent that knows what they're doing, that's been around for a while. I tell people right now that, when it comes to dealing with situations like this, especially with seniors, that amateur hour is over. This is not a time to go hire your niece or nephew or friend that just got their real estate license. You need to find someone that's not only good at negotiating, but getting everything lined up, getting all those stars lined up. probably 2/3 of all situations that I deal in, where we are selling first, we are focused on, it's not just a price, it's what other things is the buyer willing to do to make our lives easier here. Okay, will they allow us to close on your purchase 30 days from now and then give us a month, 30 days of what we call post possession, where you can stay in your home, or you know for that 30 days maybe they want a rent, a lease back, or a lease payment, okay, to cover their mortgage. You got to remember that buyers, when they buy your home, their first home payment isn't house payment, mortgage payment isn't due for another 30 days. So there is a little bit of leeway there.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's someone that doesn't need to be in the home right away, a lot of times we'll find buyers that can work with us to extend that out, on a month to month basis for up to 90, 120 days. I mean, we're definitely doing a lease back in that situation, but it depends on what the buyer, what their motives are, what they're looking to get out of it. But in a lot of cases, we're able to keep you from having to, move twice, or move in with a relative, or rent a VRBO or vacation rental, put your stuff in storage. There's always a solution to everything that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is finding the right agent that can handle all of this and make it work for you. And, the temporary housing thing, if you sell and we can't find you something right away, there's always a solution. We try not to get to that point. We try to make all these stars lined up, and a lot of times we'll even do a simultaneous close, where we close on the sale of your home the same day that we close on the purchase of the other one. In that case, we might need a few days of what we call post possession again to
Mm-hmm.
get everything moved out. Yeah, I know it sounds scary for people, but don't let that get in the way of the decision, because there's always a way to figure that out. Now, on the buy first option, kind of disadvantage to, selling your home is a pain in the butt, as we know. And there's just no getting around it. If you're living in the home trying to sell it, you're going to have to deal with showings and keeping your house in tip top condition at all times. We can usually get an hour or two of notice when someone wants to show your home. A prospective buyer wants to see it, another agent shows it.
Mm-hmm.
We can put all of that in those requirements, like we need a minimum 2 hours notice, whatever. But you still have to keep that home looking great, and just, you're kind of on hold, of, okay,
Yeah.
when's the next call gonna come in? And it interrupts my nap time, or maybe, you've got people in from out of town. It's just, selling your home is not fun, but it can be done. The other option is buying first. If and this happens in probably at least half the cases that I deal with, where we go out, find the home that you want to purchase, you purchase it, we get you moved in, and then allows us to get in there and get your house looking, spiffed up and looking nice, and then we put it on the market. It relieves a lot of pressure on all sides, not just for you, but your real estate agent, when we can find you something, get you in there, and then without all of that pressure. Obviously, you avoid the temporary housing, or renting something in between. It's way easier, again, to negotiate from a point of, hey, we can close this house in 2 weeks or 30 days or whatever. That's going to be that's going to be great for the seller in most cases.
So let's say that they want to buy first and they liked some property, but they still don't have money on there. Is the conditional offer something that is valid on the market, if something that's realistic in today's market?
The contingency, yeah, it just depends. I mean, in our current market right now in Phoenix, it's very difficult to find a seller that would be willing to do that. It'd have to be the right situation. If I've got a client that wants to buy first but can only do it contingent but insists on it, we're looking for homes that have been on the market a while, and maybe the sellers don't have a lot of options, and they look at it like, okay, well, we're not getting any other offers, so let's take this one. You can get that, but those are typically very hard to find, especially homes that are in good condition.
Mm-hmm.
Homes that are in good condition in a market like Phoenix right now will get multiple offers. Okay, if it's priced well and it's in great shape, it's probably going to get multiple offers, which is pretty much going to knock out any contingent type offers.
If you have a good house and a good condition,
Yeah,
obviously the seller will be very picky about, which offer to go with. So
yeah, and there's a lot of lending options out there to close that gap too. It's just, again, this goes back to hiring an agent that knows what they're doing. But this is something that you would want to have a talk with a lender. I've got great lenders that deal primarily with the senior crowd. Everything from reverse mortgages to bridge loans,
mm-hmm.
to HELOCs. You can do a home equity line of credit if you've got a ton of equity in your house. I've got a lender that will do a loan based on, if you've got a home that's worth, $500,000 and you don't owe anything on it, that, could you borrow 60, 70% of that value? There's a lot of ways to do that, but those things need to be done in advance before we go out and write any offers. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to have all of that, all of your ducks in a row. If you're going to need financing, all of that needs to be done before we go out even to look at homes. Because if you find the right one, you're going to have to move quick. When I
Yeah.
say move quick, you're going to have to write the offer quickly.
Well, that's very valuable information. Thanks a lot. And like one of the situations that people usually asking about is, what if my home sells faster than expected and I'm not ready?
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes back to what I said earlier. If your home sells quicker than expected before we've found another home, then we need to work that into the contract by extending the closing date. Instead of 30 days, maybe we ask, hey, can we close it 45 days from now or 60 days from now? And then also add on possibly some kind of post possession, whether that just be, for a couple weeks or a couple months, which would be more of a lease back situation. Um, that can always be done as well. So the main thing I want people to understand is there is a solution for every potential problem. People get hung up on stuff like that. But again, if you're using someone that knows what they're doing, um, when we get an offer on your home, I'm going to be on the phone with the agent saying, look, here's my situation. These folks are elderly. It's going to take a little longer to get everything organized, packed, moved, all that kind of stuff. And we haven't even found them a home yet. So we would like you to, instead of closing in 30 days, let's close in 45 days. And are your buyers open to doing some sort of a lease back if we need it in case we haven't found them another home? In most cases, I would say 80% of the time, the buyers don't need to be in the home in the next 30 to 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on every situation's different, but it's anything is doable.
Okay, I think we covered it a little bit, but it would be
Mhm.
good to get a little bit more details about the timelines because
Yeah,
nobody wants to start doing anything very last moment, but everyone does usually.
okay, that's right.
So yeah, let's see how long does it usually take and which steps do they need to go through.
Sure, sure. The as far as how long it takes, it's the timeline is up to you as the seller, right? And I always get asked like when's a good time to call an agent or call anyone when you've made the decision that we are no longer going to live in this home. 6 months from now, a year from now, or whatever that is, call someone like me right away. I can come over, I can figure out what your home is worth and go through what we call a net sheet that shows you, after all of your closing costs, commissions, everything else, you can expect to get, you know, between X and Y on this house when it closes. Um, and then the other thing that I spend a lot of time doing with folks is in that same appointment is we'll walk around and look for things that I feel will bring the most value to them if they, whether it be repairs, decluttering. I'm always looking for the things that bring the most return on investment. Okay, and one of the things that typically is very cheap that brings a lot of value is just simply painting or replacing carpet, that sort of thing. If you have a home that you've been in 30 or 40 years and you haven't done much work to it, and it's got upgrades from the 1990s, then going in and it's very, very rare that we run into a situation where I recommend redoing a kitchen or a bathroom or anything like that. What we're trying to do is show the house as best in its best condition as possible
Mhm.
without spending a ton of money on it. So during that first appointment, I'm talking to you about how much we can expect to sell the home for, and then go through, look and give you ideas of what to fix and what not to worry about.
Yeah, because most probably people who are willing to buy this house, they will do renovations themselves. So like changing something in the kitchen or changing something in the bathroom will probably interfere with their future plans, and it will be just a waste of money for the seller.
It is, and most people that they're out looking at a lot of homes, so they're very dialed in on what your home should be priced at. And in a lot of cases, with seniors especially, we're dealing with a home that yes, it could use some updating and some cosmetic updating, that sort of thing. But we're looking for the buyer that understands that. We're looking for the buyer that's looking for a home with good bones and that's been maintained well.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the things I'm focused on when I'm telling people what they should or shouldn't repair or fix. We want buyers to feel like, yes, the home is could use some updating, but you can tell that these folks have taken good care of it.
Yeah.
And that usually gets you, through the finish line.
That's great. And it's all about impression, right? And
Yeah.
if we're coming to that conversation, I think decluttering is very important in that case. But from your professional perspective and your experience, usually if you see a home that it's has a lot of possessions, do you recommend sellers usually to solve that problem and then
Yeah.
do the showings, or what's the recommendation?
Yeah, I mean, every situation's totally different, as you know. Some people are what I call hoarders. They just hold on to too much stuff, and so a lot of times you can do that without having to rent like a storage space or something like that. If there's room in the garage to box things up and stack them neatly in the garage, people don't get buyers don't get freaked out about seeing a garage that's full of boxes and things. They know that this person's lived here a long time and it's to be expected. So yeah, decluttering is important. Another important thing that people don't realize how important it is. One of the most important things that buyers, it's a instant turn on, turn off, is the smell of a home. Okay, and especially if someone has been smoking in the home, or that's really bad. Because it's so hard to get that smell out. But the smell of a home is very important. If you have pets that have been peeing on the rugs and that sort of thing, we're going to talk about replacing carpet. Because it's an instant turn off. And you got to remember that buyers, when they walk into a situation like that, they're going to the worst case scenario in their mind of what it's going to cost fix these things, which really hurt you in the negotiating process as well.
Yeah, that's a fair point, of course. Like, I would agree with that for
It's a
100%.
big deal.
Yeah,
Big deal.
it can ruin the deal for sure. And if we're coming back to decluttering, this is emotionally, I guess, the hardest part of the downsizing process.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people just delay it forever and forever, because they like it's a lifelong possessions, and there's so many emotional pieces that they don't want to let go, but they have to sometimes. I know that you have also professionals you're working with,
Right.
great people who are helping with moving, with decluttering. So I just wanted to mention that nobody has to go through it alone. There is always help.
Right.
If you're already working with an agent, you should ask about those options.
There's definitely a lot of that. Okay. And what I always recommend if I'm really getting pushback from the sellers on decluttering or just getting rid of things, possibly, I always recommend a senior move manager that's certified senior move manager. There are companies out there that specialize in exactly what you're talking about. They'll come out, they'll have a free consultation where they walk around the home with you and they give you ideas of things you can be doing now, systems, and I mean, from different colored little stickers you put on things for, throw away, send to consignment, give to the kids, and this is where the adult children can come in also and help out with, this is a time where the parents bring in their adult children and say, do you guys want this stuff? Because we've got to get rid of it. And a senior move manager can really walk you through. This is all they do every day is meet with people like that need to get rid of things or declutter, downsize, that sort of thing. So if it's a real problem, if it's a real issue for the seller, that's when I definitely refer them to my senior move manager, who I absolutely love here in the Valley.
That's great. Okay, awesome. So we covered some key timelines for home preparation. Ideally, it would be 4 to 8 weeks, but
Yeah,
of course, it can
that's
always
fair.
take longer. But that would be a good sweet spot.
Yeah.
Time on the market. Would you agree that it's like 2 to 6 weeks?
It just depends. It could be 24 hours. It could be 3 or 4 months. The average time on market in Phoenix right now is about 70 days. So it can take a couple months to get a home sold. I set those expectations up front that if we price it here, then we can expect to sell it, in a certain time versus pricing it higher and having it take longer. So it just depends on where folks are.
Yeah. And would you say that this is something seasonal now, or it's in general time in Phoenix? Like,
We don't have a huge seasonal issue here, other than I think what affects the entire country is the end of the year holiday season. People generally don't like selling their homes, having people going through them during those times. So it's just whatever timing works best for you. Well, if you're doing your own move yourself, then obviously you want to try to avoid July and August when it's 120 degrees outside. But when you have that senior move manager, they don't just help you get things organized and decluttered and that sort of thing. They actually move all your furnishings for you. Okay. The company I use, let's say you're moving into an assisted living facility, they'll take pictures of your home and how you have everything set up. And they don't just move your stuff in there, they move it in, they hang pictures on the wall, they set up everything to make it feel as much like your home felt, that you're leaving. There's really not much seasonality here, and your time on market is based on how well your property is marketed and your price, where you're at with your price.
yeah, that's perfect. And as you mentioned before to me, it's good to close the deals before September, because many families are moving with the kids, and there's a school year
Yeah,
start, and that's very important for them.
that's a good point. When we're talking about seniors and downsizing, we forget that a lot of times they're selling homes to families that have children. Okay. They live in a neighborhood that has a good school district or is known for having families in it. So there is one exception to the rule in Phoenix, and that is we do get a little bit of a surge in June and July for people wanting to get the deal closed and get their kids in school by August, September. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So the closing period, is this something standard, 30 to 60 days, or
Yeah,
there is also fluctuations?
I would say 30 days is very much standard, but that anything is negotiable. I personally like to get the home closed and then as soon as possible so that cash is sitting in your account. Uh, Instead of extending the closing date to 45 or 60 days, let's get it closed in 30 days and then look at some post possession so that there's no question the funds are in your account waiting for you to either purchase another home or move into an assisted living, that sort of thing.
And in case they have bridge financing, it also like 30 to 90 days period.
I would say that any financing type uh, discussions or considerations should be done probably at the front end of this rather than at the end, because it can take 30 to 60 days to get something like that done. But you want to have that done before we go out looking at homes so that, again, if you need that financing, we want to get that done early in the process.
Yeah, and it's a good idea to involve your financial advisor since the very beginning, and
Yeah.
start from there. I guess, like, first, like, conversations with the family, obviously, and then your financial advisor, and then you already talk to an agent and start, all the rest of the processes.
And your trust attorney. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to make sure if you have a trust, a will, you want to get with your trust attorney early in the process. Hey, we're looking at making a move here, downsizing or moving into assisted living, whatever it is. That conversation needs to take place very early in the process, along with your financial planner, your CPA. Those are three people that need to be included in this discussion up front for you.
Okay, we're moving forward. We're going to talk about the situation if people don't want to buy again and they are moving into some different type of the location.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, there you've got it right here on the slide. This is great. You've got three choices here: moving to a rental, retirement, or assisted living, and moving in with family. These are all things. Obviously, these are decisions that will need to be made before we put your home on the market. One thing that I offer all my clients is if they are going to buy another home, we'll go out and look at homes, whether it be a 55 plus community or a patio home or a town home. Generally speaking, people like to still stay in the same area if they're going to downsize.
Mhm.
So we'll go out and look at homes before we sign anything or put the home on the market or anything like that, just to get a comfort level with them that, hey, if when this thing closes, I feel confident that we're going to be able to find something fairly quickly. There's good options out there for me. But yeah, when it comes to a rental, again, it's the same thing as like selling your home when it comes to the some of the advantages and disadvantages. Ideally, if you know you're just going to go rent a home and sell yours, the nice thing about a rental is you don't have to come up with a $400,000 for a new home. You're coming up with a few $1,000s to go start renting something. Again, that takes that pressure off of having to keep your home in tip-top conditions and the last minute showings and that sort of thing. Always, if someone's going to rent, I really encourage them to go, let's go find you a rental first. And I can help people with that process. And then retirement or assisted living, obviously, that comes with some other challenges there. Mainly, the biggest thing that comes up with folks I've worked with is, a lot of times the place they want to get into has a waiting list that they have to get put on because the unit they're looking for is not available yet. Again, I encourage people, if they can afford it financially, to just go ahead and make that move, and then let's sell your home once you're out. And then same thing with moving in with family. I mean, That's the cheapest route, although might be, in a lot of cases, the most stressful for not only the seller, the senior, but the adult kids and grandkids as well. But sometimes that's the best solution.
I think like what you covered about finding first the spot in the
Yeah,
assisted living or retirement place is
yeah,
very important, because like that situation when you sell your house but your spot is still not open, that can be like really really stressful, because then you have to find maybe something to rent in between, and it's like adds
right.
up to more work, and you don't know how long it will take. There's too much tension in general in that situation. So
Referral that I make a lot to people is a certified senior placement coordinator. Okay. What these folks do, and I have an amazing woman here in Phoenix, she's just an angel. What they do is they'll come and meet with you and figure out kind of what you're looking for and they'll have questions for you so that they can help you make the decision as far as what level of living you need, whether it's independent living, assisted living, nursing home, which a lot of people think that assisted living and even independent, they think of those old nursing homes that are, you feel like you're in a hospital and that sort of thing. It's just not like that nowadays. There's so many great options that you can go to without having that clinical hospital type feel. You meet with someone, a certified placement specialist, and they know all of the different options for you. And after they talk to you, they can give you some recommendations. I think you might be happy here. Okay, because there's all kinds of different levels. As you can imagine, everyone is unique.
yeah, of course.
Some people need more medical care. Some people are fine. Some people want to go somewhere where there's lots of social activity. Some people don't want that. They're not social people. Okay, so when you meet with someone like this, it saves you so much time and effort, and they you don't pay them anything. If you end up going into one of these nursing homes or assisted living, they pay them like a commission, kind of like a real estate agent. So all of this counseling and actually touring places with you and all that sort of thing, you don't pay a dime for it. So to me, it's like such a huge, very important step in this process. Okay. And it's someone I like to bring in early on in the discussion. We talked about, sitting down and coming up with what's your home worth, how long is it going to take to sell it, decluttering, all that. I mean, I'd argue that bringing someone in like a senior placement specialist probably should happen before that even happens, or right around the same time, just to figure out what those options are.
So, since we started to talk about contacting the professionals who would help with that downsizing transition, we at the Downsizing Insights offer to have no obligation free call with professionals like Bob. And Bob is in that list, and he's happy to get any of your calls anytime, just to
Yep.
talk you through the process, the options, to hear the story about your particular situation, because everyone has a different situation out there. Can you talk a little bit more about it, Bob? I feel like people are in general a little bit reserved, thinking about that's too soon to talk to an agent. What agent can do is actually to give an opportunity to contact other professionals who can help
Right.
with each and every stage of that process.
A good real estate agent, especially one that has experience working with seniors, I would say, one of the big things to look for is someone that has what we call the SRES designation, Senior Real Estate Specialist designation, through the National Association of Realtors. It's a course that I went through years ago that really teaches us, the unique skills that you need when it comes to dealing with the senior population. Your typical real estate agent out there, it just wants to go in, get a house sold, and move on to the next one. And when it comes to seniors, it's a lot more time involved up front before the house even hits the market. I mean, we went through just a few of the steps today, but there's dozens of other things that can come up depending on every situation. if someone comes over to your house and just starts cramming down your throat, you need to get it on the market next week or in the next month or whatever, and starts pushing that kind of BS, then and that's a red flag. That's someone that hasn't dealt with seniors.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's why we cherry pick people we work with, and we cherry pick professionals in this space to make sure that these are all caring individuals first, and then,
Right.
agents.
I just read a statistic yesterday. One out of every four people over 65 have a falling incident every year. And those falling incidents can be minor or they can be major, as we know. And when it comes to making the decision to move, whether that be assisted living, downsizing, whatever it is, what it really comes down to, unfortunately, is do you want to do that on your terms or terms that you'd rather not have? When you're getting up there in years, at some point, you're going to be either forced to make the decision to move into a safer setting, or you can do that now while you're still under control of that decision, in control of that decision, I should say.
Yeah, that would be good. And I would say that it's not easy on kids as well. It's not easy for the adult children as well,
That's
because
right.
seeing your parents or even grandparents, I was lucky to see all of them, um, seeing them getting old, losing their mobility. it's
Yeah.
it's very, very, very hard, and when it's related to the legacy, I totally understand that, because it's not only them who spend time in those houses, right? It's also their adult children and maybe even their grandkids. And selling might be not easy for everyone. So that's why it's like so crucially important to just, be open, be transparent, like not be afraid to be vulnerable, and just talk things through, and like
Hmm.
share and just support each other in that situation, and acknowledge that yes, it is hard. It is hard for all of us, but we need
Yeah.
to make the best decisions, the decisions that, you know, will support you through further. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That holding on to their home is so important to them. And there has to be a way that you can communicate to them that you understand how important that is to them. However, their health and their well-being is very important to them and to you. If you're recommending that they move to a smaller home or move to, assisted living or whatever that option is, it's coming from your heart, not just because you want your life to be easier for them. And it's not just falling. When it comes to living on your own and your cognitive starts to break down and you forget to take medication, you forget to eat, you don't take care of things around the house. I mean, even laundry becomes a problem now.
Yeah.
Doing your own laundry, uh, and just keeping the house maintained and clean, and it just everything gets more difficult. Um, and when you start to see signs of that cognitive decline, or they start to lose a lot of weight, or you go to the house and there's a lot of things just kind of laying around where mom and dad used to really keep their house clean and nice and tidy, and now they're not doing that because they're not able. Those are definitely things to look for when it comes to selling a home for a senior. It's not something that just any real estate agent can do, just because they don't understand all of the ins and outs of it. And a lot of people just will stay away from them completely. A lot of agents will stay away from it completely because they know that it comes with not only a different skill set, but quite a few more hours and time and patience. Most real estate agents just want to rock and roll. They want to sell and move on to the next house. And I mean, I've got people I've been talking to for 4, 5, 6 plus years that still haven't made that decision. But they know that when it's time, they either them or their adult children will call. And I'm fine with that. They're just friends. You can never have too many friends in life. I love hearing people's stories. I mean, I'm a history nut, and what better history lesson than to talk to somebody about what they've done in their life? I don't know. I'm just maybe kind of weird, but that's just kind of what I
I
do.
get you on that. Totally do. And it's great to build the relationships, in advance. It's also great to know the person who's going to take care of you, to take care of all your, processes, like with the house sale and everything in advance, to be able to trust and to make sure that this is the right person you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. So since we're talking about it, many people think that if they will request a call with an agent, they will have to pay for this consultation. Tell us how it works.
Yeah, I don't charge any kind of a fee to speak to somebody. And let me tell you, a lot of these conversations can go on and on. One thing about seniors, elderly folks, is a lot of times they have a lot on their mind and they want to talk. And I just listen and give feedback or answer questions. But no, we don't charge anything for anything. We don't get paid until we sell your house. So that could be 2 weeks from now. It could be 10 years from now. I don't get paid until I get a commission. So that includes, the listing appointment or just coming by your house and telling you what I think you should work on, what things need to be fixed, and give you some decluttering ideas. I don't
Mhm.
charge for any of that stuff.
Good. I hope that more people will take their time, request a call with you, and get, their heads straight on so many things that bother them now.
You bet. You bet.
I have a couple of more questions left. Since this transition is very emotional, of course, sometimes there are other people who are involved in it, as we discussed previously. And one of the questions that we received, it says the following: My spouse is ready, but I'm not. How do other couples handle that?
Uh, I'm not a marriage counselor. I'll start off by saying that, but that's a tough one. I've actually seen a handful of situations where one spouse stays there and one spouse goes into an assisted living or independent care, and they go their separate ways, and that other spouse finally gets lonely and moves into the independent care or the assisted living with them. Very rare, but I have seen it. Um, this is just something that needs to be worked out between the partners, the spouses. There's really not an answer to that, because in order to get an answer to it, it would be way above my pay grade, and probably we're talking like a counselor or someone like that can step in. And I will say this: my certified placement coordinator gal, she would jump right in the middle of this thing, and she'd know exactly what questions to ask each person and get them through this thing. I'm sure it's something she sees all the time. But I have to kind of pull back every once in a while and say, remember, stay in your lane. You're a real estate agent and not a marriage counselor. There's always someone you can talk to help you through that. Your adult kids are a good place to start too. I mean, sit down with them. This is a discussion to have with them. I would actually probably start there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But that situation is really surprising that they moved to different facilities, and it's incredible. Like, probably they were just tired of each other for,
that
for all
that
these
could
years
be.
and
That
needed to
could be
have
after.
some break.
Yeah, exactly. They go live somewhere else, and I'll join you when I'm ready.
Yeah, yeah, which is also an option. I mean, I think like whatever works for them is the best option, like, because they have to be comfortable, they have to be in peace, they have to enjoy their life, because downsizing is not that like everything is over, right? You can
No,
still,
gosh, no. Yeah,
you
yeah.
transition, and like, how many times do we transition in our life, right, into different roles? And like, especially for women, it's also a huge thing, right? We become mothers at some point, then we lose ourselves in that motherhood. So I think like the downsizing part is a good transition to, like, gain back a little bit of your independence in terms
Yeah.
of just enjoy your life now. Like, do the
Yeah.
things that you haven't done before. You wanted to do some artistic classes, do that. You wanted to go on a cruise, do
Hmm.
that. Like, you wanted to travel somewhere like Europe. That's a good way of thinking about it. And I wish that everyone could also see that part of that journey.
Yeah. I think a lot of it too, and it comes up more and more, is just, we talked about it earlier. They've been there 30 or 40 years. Just the history there, the memories in that house are tough.
Yep.
Those memories go with you. They don't just stay in the house. Okay. Go create memories, new memories, uh, with different walls around you, and have a lot of things taken off your plate that you were responsible for before. You've worked hard all your life. You've paid that mortgage all those years. Now go enjoy yourself.
We had a great conversation today. I think we answered so many questions, we covered so many topics. I hope we brought some clarity to the people who are thinking about downsizing but not really there yet. So if you know that you need to downsize, just talk to your family first, go through all those conversations, do the hard part.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then and then things will be more clear, and hopefully you will get more support from the family. But know that there are always people who are truly really good professionals who do care, who have very good experience with helping people like you, and Bob is one of them. If you need any support in Phoenix, Arizona, here is your guy.
Yeah. Or any surrounding areas. I work the whole valley. I live in Phoenix, but Scottsdale, Mesa, Glendale, I could go on and on, all the suburbs.
Thank you so much, Bob.
Yeah. Great, great spending some time with you. And anytime you need it, just give me a holler.